You know that calendar on your wall or, on your phone? Have you ever really stopped to look at it? I mean, we plan our entire lives around this thing, but is it actually logical? Or is it as our a total mess? A jumble of historical accidents and some pretty big egos. Okay, let's dive in.
All right, let's start with a really simple one that kind of breaks the whole thing open. The word decim, right, like in decade. It's Latin for 10. So, why on earth is December our 12th month? Not the 10th, the 12th. It's one of those things that's so obvious you probably never even questioned it. But it's a huge clue that something is, well, off.
And believe me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Our entire calendar is packed with weird little contradictions like that. So for this first part, let's dig into why the numbers and the names we use every single day just don't add up at all.
So, here's the answer to that little puzzle. September, October, November, December. Their names are actually correct. Or they were. See, the original Roman calendar didn't start in January. It started in March. So if you count from March, guess what the 10th month is? December. It all makes perfect sense. But then they just kind of shoved January and February onto the front of the year, bumping everything back by 2. And the craziest part? They never bothered to fix the names. Just left them.
Okay, so the months are a bit of a mess. What about the years itself? The whole BC/AD system, or BCE/CE, whichever you use. The entire numbering system, the very idea of there being a year 1, is pinned to a single moment in history, the birth of Jesus.
So you'd think, right? If you're going to base your entire concept of time on this one single event, you would, get the date right? You'd make absolutely sure that year 1 is actually year 1. So let's see what the history books, and even church records, have to say about that.
And this is where it gets kind of wild. According to the source, the best historical estimates put the birth of Jesus somewhere between 4 and 6 BC. Let that sink in for a second. The event that is supposed to define year 1 happened 4 to 6 years before year 1. The starting line itself is in the wrong place. Our calendar is off by about 5 years right out of the gate.
Okay, so the month names are wrong, the starting year is wrong, but it gets even more arbitrary. Now we're going to see how the personal egos of a couple of Roman emperors completely messed up the number of days in our months.
So you've got Julius Caesar. He does this big calendar reform, and as a thank you, the Senate names a month after him. July. Pretty cool. Well, his successor, Emperor Augustus, sees this and thinks, hey, I want one of those too. And so, just like that, the next month gets renamed August. All about that legacy,
But here's the kicker. July, Caesar's month, had 31 days. August, the month they gave to Augustus, only had 30. And Augustus was apparently not happy about this at all. He basically said, wait a minute, is my month shorter than his? Am I less important than Caesar? No way. My month needs 31 days too.
So where do you get an extra day? You don't just invent one, you steal it. And that's exactly what they did. They swiped a day from February, which was kind of seen as the leftover month at the end of the year anyway. And that single act of pure ego is why February is the short, weird month. It has absolutely nothing to do with the seasons or the stars or science. It was just an emperor who felt a little insecure.
And that really sums up the whole Gregorian calendar, doesn't it? The source we're looking at has this great line. It calls the whole system a building made of bricks from here, stones from there. It's not a carefully designed structure. It's a messy, haphazard construction built on mistakes, bad math, and powerful people's whims.
Okay, so that's one way to build a calendar. But what if we started from scratch? What if, instead of history and ego, we based our calendar on, the actual cosmos? Well, let's take a look at a totally different approach, the Hindu Panchang. This is way more than just different names for the months. It's a completely different way of thinking about time, built on actual observable science. Now, the first thing you have to do to get your head around the Panchang is forget about the 24-hour day. Just throw that idea out for a second. The basic unit of time here is something called a Tithi. And a Tithi is not a day. It can be longer or shorter than 24 hours. It's not a fixed block of time. It's a measure of movement.
So what is a Tithi then? Well, it's pure astronomy, which is pretty cool. Picture the moon going all the way around the Earth.
That's a 360-degree circle, right? The Panchang just divides that circle into 30 equal parts. So a Tithi is simply the time it takes for the moon's angle relative to the sun to change by 12 degrees. And because the moon sometimes speeds up and slows down in its orbit, the length of a Tithi actually changes. It's measuring what's really happening up there, not just chopping time into even blocks.
And that scientific elegance? It's not just in how they measure their days, it's baked right into the names of the months too. This calendar is basically a living guide to the night sky.
So, remember our months, named after Roman gods, emperors, or numbers that are just plain wrong? In the Panchang, the name of the month literally tells you what astronomical event is happening at that time. It's not just a name, it's a piece of data.
It's actually a really beautiful system. For example, the month is called Chaitra because during that month, the full moon happens near the Chaitra star constellation. It's called Vaishakha because the full moon is near the Vishaka constellation. See the pattern? The name of the month is a signpost, pointing you to a specific spot in the stars. The whole calendar is a star map.
Okay, so you might be thinking, if this calendar is so scientific and precise, why do Hindu festivals like Diwali or Holi always seem to land on a different date every year on my calendar? That's a great question, and the answer gets to the absolute core difference between these two systems. Here it is. The calendar most of us use, the Gregorian one, is a solar calendar. It only cares about one thing, the Earth's trip around the sun. That's it. It pretty much ignores the moon. But the Panchang is a luni-solar calendar. It's doing two jobs at once. It's meticulously tracking the sun and it's tracking the moon. And this is where that shifting comes from. A solar year is roughly 365 days, but a lunar year, which is 12 full moon cycles, is only about 354 days. So every year there's an 11-day difference between the two. That's why those festivals seem to move. They're not moving at all. They're perfectly fixed in the lunar cycle. It's our solar calendar that can't keep up.
So how do you solve that 11-day gap? If you don't, the seasons would eventually drift completely out of sync. Well, the Panchang has this brilliant built-in fix. It's called the Adic Moss, which means extra month. Roughly every 3 years, it just adds a whole extra month into the year. This is its way of hitting a reset button, pulling the solar and lunar cycles back together so they stay perfectly aligned over the long run.
So, when you put these two calendars side by side, what's the big picture here? It's not really about which one's better or worse. It's about what's baked into the very design of how we measure our lives.
And I think this really gets to the heart of it. On one hand, you have a system that's basically a historical artifact. It's a jumbled record of ancient gods, Roman politics, and simple math errors. And on the other hand, you have a system that's a living, dynamic map of the cosmos, constantly updating itself based on the real-time dance of the sun and the moon.
Which leaves us with this final thought. When you look at your calendar, are you just seeing a date? Or are you looking through a lens that shapes your entire perception of time and your place in the universe? The calendar on your wall might be telling you a lot more than you think.